Hi folks, this is Crimson. Welcome to another video. Thanks for watching. I want to do a quick taxi and takeoff video in the C-130 Hercules. This is by Anubis. It's a free module. Download, install it, try it out. It's really fun. I've been having a great time with it and wanted to do a taxi and takeoff. So we'll make this as quick as possible and get you through the whole set of procedures. So first things first, we're at the Beirut Airport. We're in a C-130. It's already up and running. Started up. If you want to learn how to start this bird up, I have a video that walks through that in detail. So right now, if I'm going to taxi, first thing I want to do is I want to check out the panel right here. It basically tells you if there's any issues. And as you can see, the parking brake is set. There's also some other information that would be available, like if, for example, you had one of the doors open, it would say the door's open. In fact, let me demonstrate that real quick right now. If I open the crew door, you can see that it would say the crew entry door is open. That's left Control D, and if I close it, then you'll see the signal go away there. So parking brake being on is also bad for taxiing, so we'll take care of that in a second. One thing to note, you want to take off with 50% flaps. Here's your flaps controls. It's got a 0, 25%, 50%, 75, and 100% position. So we'll go ahead and click that to 50% flaps. Another thing to point out is this is pretty interesting. Down here, if you go to this control panel and hit index, you have a number of options here. The only one that I found that works is this takeoff data. And this will actually tell you what your rotation speed is, what to expect for rotation, 102 knots for VR. And that's a pretty slow speed. That's because I don't have anything in the cargo bay. I've got no armaments, nothing. So, we're going to be able to take off at a pretty low speed. If I had an Abrams tank in the back or a Humvee and a bunch of fuel and some weapons, that rotation speed would be a lot faster. So with that, let's turn off the parking brake and go ahead and begin our taxi. So just give it a little bit of throttle. And we're going to taxi here to the right. And you can see that nose wheel steering is engaged, and there's a pretty cool animation there with the actual nose wheel steering wheel. I've mentioned this in a previous video. The rudders aren't moving with my controls, and the toe brakes aren't working either as far as the animation. So that's something I expect that the Anubis would fix in the future, but right now it's not modeled. It is working, obviously, me using my rudder pedals, and I've tested the toe brakes as well. So as I'm heading away from the ramp toward the taxiway, one tip, it's hard when you've got a two-seat aircraft with a pilot and co-pilot seat to maintain center line. And one of the tricks that they teach you in flight school is to keep the line that you're trying to follow in line with your right leg. So if I'm trying to manipulate the aircraft and keep it on the center line, in this case the taxiway center line, imagine that the center line is running right through my right leg, and go ahead, so like there's my right leg, there's the center line, probably a little bit off to the left, and that's a helpful tip because the perspective you have is a little bit different when you're kind of off center from the aircraft. And in most DCS fighter planes, you are right over the center line with your entire body. So just a tip. We can even test this theory. If I were to stop and go external, it's pretty close to center line. Maybe I'm a little bit off to the left, but that's good enough. Another thing I want to call out here in the C-130 as we're taxiing is that the C-130 Hercules has reverse thrust, and it is modeled in this aircraft. So if I were to drop the throttle all the way back or full closed position and then went right Alt B, you hear a little pop sound, and now you can see I've got reverse thrust engaged and I'm going backwards. If I push the throttle all the way forward and then release it back, that disengages the reverse thrusters. And that's handy if you want to back out of a particular parking spot, or if you just want to slow down without putting too much pressure on your brakes. All right, so we're going to go ahead and proceed here. We're going to cross, we're on taxiway Juliet. We're crossing taxiway Alpha toward the runway 21. And I'll go ahead and skip ahead here to save us some time. Okay, we're holding short of runway 21 at the Beirut Airport. I'm just going to take a quick look to the left, quick look to the right, all clear. Go ahead and head out onto the runway, prepare for takeoff. So as we're moving out there in the HUD, it's a fairly standard HUD. I haven't really studied it in any detail, but you've got your heading information at the top. You've got your pitch ladder in the middle, and your airspeed is to the left. Right now it's indicating 30 knots. Typical with most aircraft, until you go above a certain speed, the airspeed indicator will not show what airspeed you're going. So once we get going, we get above 30 knots, the airspeed will come alive, as they say, and we'll start seeing the actual readings. I'm not sure what this indicator to the right side is that looks very similar, that says 55 right now. I'll have to do a little research and figure out what that is. So lining up here, center line, going to go ahead and come to a stop and prepare for takeoff. So once again, everything's looking good. Flaps set to 50. One thing I noticed is that the nose wheel steering automatically disengages at about 60 knots, and then your rudder effectiveness is good, and that takes over there. So you'll be able to use nose wheel steering heading down the runway up until about 60 knots, and then it will automatically shut off and you'll be rudders only. So here we go. Let's go full throttle. And maintain center line. Airspeed's alive, 40, 50 knots. We know our rotation speed from the display was 102, so at 102 we'll gently pull back on the stick. About 90, getting pretty close. And 102, gently pull back and rotate. Easy as that. Flaps up and gear up with G. The landing gear indicator's right there. And we're off. Haven't figured out what the VX or VY speeds are for the C-130 yet. You know, a nice 10 degree or 12 degree pitch attitude seems to work to get us airborne. And there we go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great one. Hopefully more videos to come, and happy flying.